Okay, 5. Yeah. There we go. Let's tune that out. Good morning from 3-Tone Digital.
Morning, everyone. Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day. Happy National Coconut Day. Do coconuts and camels have anything in common?
They both are round. They have round humps.
That's true, yeah. Yep. So on this National Coconut Day, we're dressed very, I think we're kind of like tropical today. Got our tropical outfits on.
Maybe we'll have a coconut drink.
Yeah. I should have got a coconut drink at Starbucks, but instead I got my typical quad venti white chocolate mocha, 1 pump of the flavor, no whipped cream. It's really good. I'm not really into coconut stuff.
Yeah, neither am I, but I think with just a little bit of the taste of it, and it's not like overpowering and sugary, I like it. So you just got to make it right and not overdo it on the coconut flavor.
Yeah, I don't like coconut water. I know we were talking about this morning. Raina has a coconut story. Oh, Raina's gone. She's gone with her coconut story.
All right, I'm coming back.
She's coming back. I'll tell it in her voice.
You know what happened?
Once upon a time.
You know what happens with the mouse? I think I'm getting used to the Mac mouse, and I just did a quick scroll thing, and it like backs out of everything. I'm not used to that feature on the mouse, so
yeah.
I just backed out of this live.
Just disappeared
pretty quickly.
I was like, never mind.
Wow, this works pretty fast.
Never mind about the coconut story.
Yeah, so my coconut story is I went to my friend's bachelorette party in Mexico. That's like the most fancy bachelorette party I've ever been to. And we stayed at a resort and we had coconuts. And by the pool, they had people going up and getting the coconut, and then you're able to have like a coconut drink. And I had this expectation of what this would taste like. But when I tasted it, it was very warm. It was warm coconut water. So
not very refreshing.
It didn't taste like overpowering with sugar, like what you would kind of think it would. But anyways, it was an experience. And it just kind of showed me exactly what coconut water is and what it really tastes like. So
yeah, there's lots of ways to eat coconut. Coconuts on candy and donuts. I don't like the almond joys. Ew.
Like the shredded coconut on
stuck in
donuts.
my teeth. Yeah, coconut oil is good for cooking. I love it on chicken. Cooking chicken with coconut oil gives it this like tropical flavor. I'm sure there's a lot of other coconut things too. We just don't use them very often. But happy National Coconut Day to every coconut fan and people that are not fans of coconut. It's still Coconut Day. You have to put up with that. So, I put up even says coconut coater on my thing. You see it?
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know. It's provocative. Talking.
Coconut. You code with coconuts.
Yeah, something like that.
Drinking coconuts.
Yep. Coconut coater. So today we're going to talk about not just coconuts, but also coconuts. We're going to talk about H1. And it comes from, in the title of it, what's an H1, comes from a panic moment of a client.
You're sharing this? I thought this was a personal story, inside joke story. You're going to share it with the world?
Yeah. I guess it comes from that first, like when you get excited and you don't know what you have all this skill and you have all this talent you've been practicing, but then someone asks you about it, right? And it kind of all crumbles, all the skill, all the knowledge, all the talent, because it's just like a state of panic.
Yeah, and it's weird how it came about, but really what it comes down to, I think anyone can relate to, is like when you work on something and you have a trade or skill, and at that moment it's being tested and you kind of get in your head a little too much and you're just like, well, what is this? And it's like the most basic thing and you're overthinking. So try not to overthink and just know that you know what you're doing and to execute it. So it was like an overthinking moment where we were providing a service in the sense of like, no, it was an idea that we were working on and we got a result from it. And we had to send back some report or something like that. And it was just a funny moment where we're like, what are we doing? You know, and this was like years ago, but we always, it carries on to today because sometimes anybody can like panic and be like, well, what are we even doing? You know? So that was
Yeah.
one moment where we're like, what's an H1? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of like an odd phrase, but for us, it's kind of like an inside joke.
Yeah, for us, I think it represents imposter syndrome because it's like
Exactly.
we of course know what H1 is. Most people do, even if you're not in web. We're gonna go over exactly what it is, and it's so simple, stupid that forgetting it is kind of the funny part. Like that's probably the main when you learn HTML or like hello world and web, you're gonna start usually with H1 or a title tag or something. So the funny part, you don't got to be involved in it, but it's an inside joke. What's an H1? Let's go over what an H1 actually is by showing you a blank slate. Before I just go over what actually an H1 is and also type it in there. So let's make it one. So this is CodePen. This is where you can edit HTML, CSS, and JavaScript of a page right live. So as you edit, you'll see the changes on the left screen, almost instantly. I'm just going to type in 3-tone digital. It's going to look goofy. 3-tone digital and a weird font. So really what is happening is I'm typing in this box and it's outputting into this browser window the most basic font, so whatever font on your system, and a larger font size and a thick weight. And that's all good. Obviously, this is not what a regular website will look like. There's styling that you can do to an H1, but the most important part of an H1 is that it tells the browser and it tells the search engines that are indexing it what the main thing about this page is. So there's the title tag, of course. So you can have a website that says web design and development, and that's the title. But on that page, according to SEO rules, there should be one only, and at least one H1 tag. Right? Do you want to say?
Yeah, I think also if we open one of our posts and blog, that we can show if you have a website, you can see what this looks like real time on your website. Showing how to find what an H1 is on a particular page through the inspector.
Yeah, so
and then also how to change a title to an H1 tag.
Yeah, on our website, well, this is a little different because this is part of. I'll show you on this, but so to actually look. Yeah, we could do it on this one too. But to actually look to see if your page or your website has an H1 tag, there's multiple ways to do it. I personally like to use the Chrome inspector. There's also one on Firefox and Safari, of course. The shortcut to get to it is Command Option I, but you can also go into the tabs and say View Source or Inspector. I like the inspector because you can just move around in here and it'll highlight things that you're on. So if you're looking for a certain element, you can hover over it and you can see how it highlights both the left side and the right side. So
and just to interrupt there, he's clicking the arrow there in order to be able to hover and it shows what it is.
Yeah, and you can go both ways. So you can hover on this side and see it highlighted or vice versa. The left. So in order to find that H1, you can always move around and you can make your best guess too. You can see here as I hover over it, there's a box that pops up and it says H1 in purple. Then it has a bunch of classes. So that right there shows you that this page, yes, does have an H1. But if it's not as evident right off the bat, you can search in here just like you search on any other app. Usually it's Command F, or it depends on if you are on a Mac or a PC. For us on Macs, it's Command F, and on the bottom you're going to see a string, search, or selector, and you can type in H1 there. When you type in H1, you're going to get a selection on the left side and the right side. Some of them are going to be styles, some of them will be HTML. This one is for HTML. You want to see that it actually has one. And this page does indeed have an H1. So this pretty much tells Google, hey, this blog post, this is what it's about. It goes down too. It traverses. I get to use that almost every live stream, but like H2 the level of importance will go down. H2 is less important than H1, but more important than H3, and so on and so forth. It goes all the way down to H6. And those things can be used as table of contents, so maybe chapters in a book, and then subsections, or even obviously sections of a page where you're saying, this page is about web design, and then it goes down into here's about Figma web design, here's about our Photoshop web design, here's about our Shopify. I was going to say Weebly. I don't know why. So that's how you can find an H1 and what an H1 actually is. For us, in order to change the H1, this is part of a header on our site. So we're using a block theme. So things are very abstracted, meaning on each page, I do not put the title because that would be bad practice, because then I have to go into every post. So really, I'm using a global element, as you see here. So you can see like title and the content. This is not the actual content of the post, but it's almost like a framework, like a skeleton.
It's the main template of your site, so it will pull in dynamically. So this is kind of our process when we're thinking about the easiest way to for a site to be created without having to duplicate efforts.
Yeah, so never duplicate. One of my main things as a coder that I've always been getting better at is keeping things dry, which dry means don't repeat yourself, DRY. And the more you do that, the more you follow that, the quicker things go and the better you are when changes come back and things have to be changed. Because it's not, when I make a site, most of the time there's changes, and maybe there's things that weren't thought of with responsiveness or whatever they might be. But I make sure that I develop it in a dry manner so I can go back in and be easy on myself.
Yeah, and another thing to add on to that has to do with styling consistency. How many times do you go on a site and it's different on each page? This allows to control the style from one area, and then you can make that update globally.
Yeah.
Versus having to do it any other way, having to go on each one and adjust it or fix an issue on each page.
Yeah, and the new block theme and full site editing on WordPress makes it ultra easy, and it's awesome. And it makes it, as you can see, an easy process for anybody to go in. So you, as probably a non-developer or a potential client, whoever we're talking to out there, is able to just go in and make little edits using a process that is pretty similar to anything else you've ever used. There's layers. They're almost like a WYSIWYG or Word or things like that. So for us, if I wanted to go in here and say, we don't want an H1, we want to be non-conformist, I would personally come in here and select H2 and save. That right there is going to say now on every blog post on our site, there's no H1, there's an H2, which is not what we want to do. So I'm not going to save this, but there's many ways to change or to check.
Or let's say you don't have H1, so there's a paragraph there, so you would go there, click it, and turn it into an H1.
Exactly. You can even like add something before and just say this is the real title. Put some stuff on it. See how easy it is inside of here too. We run our process like right in the middle of coding because we want to make it sleek. We don't want to use the block theme for everything, but we also make it so we use the block theme for everything that the client or us, we might have to edit in the future. So everything's editable. The only things we use like hard code for is functionality that is outside of the realm of layout and display for maybe things that are showing data, things that are showing parts of your site on other pieces of it. So you can see here the block. I'm not going to save this. This is the real title, but you can see how easy it is to move things around and to also just set semantically the tags without really having to mess with the layout. It's pretty cool. But I wanted to show what you could do with H1 on that page right over here, if that's okay. Do you want to say anything while I do this, or I can just talk through it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is CodePen again. So this is a great way to test out code. If you get code like scripts from a third party, like maybe it's an ad or something, you can always drop them right in here, usually right in the HTML, see if it works. Because sometimes it's good to test it out without having to ask somebody else and be like, does this work to a developer? When you can just drop it in here and see for yourself. So I'm using Sass, CSS, which is pretty much a processor. So when I write, you're going to see things that are nested, which means like there's a tag and there's information on there. This is not real CSS. It's a better version of CSS. So I'm going to target the H1 and I'm going to say, so this is just kind of a concept of, it doesn't have to look like this. It can look like anything when you get into it. So I want to, let's add a pseudo element of a red bar in the beginning of it. So we're going to add a background color of just straight up red. We're going to set its width because it doesn't come with a width set already. We're going to display it as a block element. And also in the H1 itself, I want to set the background color to black, the color of the font to white. You know, start to see things happen over here. We got some, let's see. And we're going to set the whole box to a display of flex. So it's going to keep it to the side. And also, let's get the height out of there because that doesn't make any sense. You start to see it take shape. We're going to add a margin of maybe 10 pixels. Usually I use this is just a quicker way to do that. Obviously, it's way too long, so maybe we say like width of fit content. It's gonna keep it. There we go. And add some padding. Everything is way too close. Maybe top and bottom, left and right. You start to see things take shape, you know. And maybe we change the font family to Arial. Yay, see? Now it's all pretty. Oh, maybe we add some border radius too. So this is a really cool way to test out your code. If you're learning code, definitely this is the best place to do it. You can save it. You can change the layout. There's a mobile app. It's free. You can get a pro. I don't have a pro anymore because I don't use it like that anymore. But you can save all of your pens. Let me save this one.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, let's see, like these are all mine. Usually I just go in here and I move things around. If I'm testing something without a browser, you'll see a bunch of stuff in here over the years. Ninja Boss live stream. I even do whole landing pages inside of here sometimes. This is one I did. But you can see that it's cool. It's Zen too. Like this is Sass that I did. You just code right here. So you see the live edits as they happen, which is awesome. You don't have to go back and forth. It saves on carpal tunnel too. So, and look, I have an H1. It's a very long one. Isn't there a rule that says the length of the H1, like SEO?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be very long, usually.
Like that's off H1. I'm like, what? 2,000 words, 20 to 70 characters, 60, give or take. So, yeah, that one that you just saw probably is too long, but yeah, because you want it to fit. Really, what those H1s do is fit right here. This is the H1. Unless you're overriding that with something like Yoast or Rank Math, these things right here are what are going to show. And they should be the same. If you are overriding with Yoast or Math or anything like that, the H1 should match the title of the page, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the times when we're doing our website audits, it picks up either there's no H1 or there's multiple H1s.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most common things that we're seeing on all of our reviews that we do.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like that was the first thing I check because I just want to know, I guess off the top, did someone already touch this site and make it optimized? So when I go on a site, the first thing I'll check, which is it's kind of like judge a book by its cover, but I look for an H1, and it's always surprising that one, like Randa said, no H1 or there's multiple. And by that little fact right there, I know that either there was an SEO person that just didn't do a good job, or two, there has not been SEO on this site.
Or there's an H1 that makes no sense on what the page is about. It's like contact or something like that, where you're like, oh no, this isn't what you would want pulling up in Google. So really making sure you check that on on all your pages, but mainly the most trafficked page is your home page. So that definitely should be reviewed. Make sure you only have one H1 and that it goes in order of importance, the most important topic of the page.
Yep. That's a good thing to check.
So that is what an H1 is.
What's an H1? What's an H1?
And this is a tool, CodePen. Tony just showed us a great tool to be able to drop code in. You don't have to be a coder to use it. If you are, you probably are already familiar with it.
Yeah.
But anybody could Google something and place it in here in the correct place, either HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, and see exactly what that code would do. And it's a great way to do this without testing it on your live site. This is a way to test it separate from your website and seeing what would happen.
Yeah, it's a cool way to create things separate too. Like I keep saying Zen, but like to me, it's a Zen process when you do something in a component, it's called. So separate. So say I want to make a new box or something for the website that has our live streams, carousel. Knowing what I have on the website in terms of JavaScripts or styles, I can make it in here and then just move it over there without having to look at the whole site the whole time. I can just concentrate on that one piece, that one component. That's what things like React frameworks and things like JavaScript frameworks do. But in terms of creating, this is a really great tool. We don't work for CodePen. We should get affiliate money for CodePen. I feel like I'm always talking about it.
It's definitely a great go-to tool to use.
Yeah.
For anyone, really.
Yeah, definitely. What else I want to say about H1s? I know I wasn't done, but like semantically, it's important. I mean, we got the H1s through the H6 tags, and in terms of what is the most important, it should be the H1, and it goes down. Oh, the other thing was accessibility. Like when you're on a site and you're this sentence doesn't make sense. When you're on a site and you're blind, the first thing it's going to read to you is the H1. So that should be something that you should remember. You don't want to say happy-go-lucky penguins when the site page is actually about us page on a lawyer site, right? I don't know why that would be an H1, but who knows? There's styling flexibility. It doesn't always have to look like an H1. It can be small. I believe that Google stopped caring about the style size of the H1 and just considered it H1 because that was the thing before. If you made it small, Google would know with the styles and say, well, it's not that important. But there's a lot of style and flexibility before it, after it, around it, on top of it. You can show it on top of images. You can float it on things. You can put it in the middle, left aligned, right aligned. They say only once. I have that, and the actual search results will show or a version of with the OSTO rank path your H1 tags. So that's our rundown of what hopefully everybody knows what H1 is now.
Yeah, and if you're unsure if you have an H1, there are a lot of even free site audit tools that will tell you right away if you have one and what you need to do to get that updated. So there are other tools out there that you can right away, or you can reach out to us.
Reach out to us. We'll use the tools. No, we have our own tools. I like to do things, first of all, starting at that inspector. I know that there's a lot of tools out there and they'll give you a rundown, but sometimes going organically and not using somebody's tool that they're trying to make money off of is the best way to start.
Yeah, and sometimes the tools actually are wrong. So it's always good to know the right way that we just showed you how to find it.
Yeah.
Like inspector, checking on the actual page, because we've worked with SEO experts that are looking and saying, okay, there's another H1 showing here, and we look at the code and it's not there. Okay, so sometimes there could be another third-party issue when it comes to these scanners. So although there are tools out there, you can Google and see, it's always good to know the original way to do things to confirm it, because those tools can, just like anything, have a bug and be incorrect.
Yeah, and they don't work all the time.
Another thing I want to mention about H1 tags is it's important from a design standpoint to make these consistently across your, when it comes to design and how the size of them, the font that's being used, just from a design should be cohesive across the board. And usually when we work on with our clients and we come up with style sheets, we'll always have, okay, all the H1s should be this font family and this size globally. Same with H2s and H3s. This just adds to the cohesiveness of your site, and it also helps a user come on and kind of be able to distinguish the importance of a specific topic and how that goes. So design is important when it comes to classifying these tags.
Yeah, definitely cohesiveness. We like to deliver a live style guide with our sites when the need is there. At least it's always we'll always have a live style guide for ourselves. At least it depends on if the actual client wants it. But lifestyle guides. Hey, check this out. Ooh, well,
too many coconuts.
But yeah, keeping everything the same is it's essential for a good UI and a user experience and user interface. You want to know off the top of your head, even subconsciously, what is most important here and what is next most important and such.
Yeah,
like this, what Google does, like what is important on a page, especially blog pages going down.
And speaking of Google, that's how they are able to, Google bots scan the page and they are first looking for H1s and then they categorize it by these tags. So if the tags are not there, then they're just scraping whatever they can to try to determine what the importance. And that's when you get really messaging to be sent out into the search engines. So making sure that those tags are relevant to the most importance is so important, just for Google itself to be able to classify your page and communicate that to people who are searching.
Yep. Because if you don't do it, you're leaving it in the hands of Google too.
Yeah. You know, and who knows what that code is saying or what's pulling.
Yeah, you got to take control. What is it? Take back the power. So I think that's it. We should have coconut today. Something. I know. What do we got? Oh, tacos. Well, maybe we could put like.
Actually paired nicely with taco. We're doing Taco Wednesday, not Taco Tuesday today.
Yeah, that's right.
And we are doing ground turkey tacos today, and I'm also going to try a new recipe, chickpeas tacos.
Chicharras.
Vegans, and just take a break from meat sometimes. So I'm excited. A lot of it requires like a sauce. So it's going to be like a cilantro avocado sauce that I'm going to make. And we're growing cilantro in the garden. So I'm going to do it fresh from the garden.
Sounds
you know
good.
How that is.
Sounds really good. Raina makes a really good, what is it? The stew.
Oh yeah. For fall time, we have great recipes to share. The stew. It was on Today's Show, and we tried it, and it's like a family famous recipe here.
Family famous.
Yeah, and it's like a comfort food. It's so delicious, but really what tops it off is you can top it with Greek yogurt and a mint, and it's just a combination of that on top of the chickpeas and what's the main ingredient for it?
Kale. Turmeric.
Oh, it's so delicious. It's you wouldn't think it would be, but it is.
It's amazing. I think it's my favorite soup.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, but dip the naan inside of it. Hey, look, we haven't had a connection issue.
Oh, good. We were getting nervous. We had
Thanks,
our
Leon.
Spectrum guy come yesterday, and he's supposed to. He supposedly fixed it, so we'll see.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, now you know what H1 is. I mean, let me uncross my fingers. Now, live long and prosper. Now you know what H1 is. Now you know it's National Coconut Day. With that information, we hope that you go forth in your day and live well, live healthy, survive. Let me put the music back on and play us out. This music is H by Tool.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Learn something new today.